Welcome back, everybody. AM-1220 KHTS, Santa Clarita's hometown station. It's a Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John. Everything you need to know to be in the know. What else? Oh, the Radio Digest version of the Santa Clarita Gazette and free classifieds.
Wow.
You know, so I guess it's my turn, John?
I guess it's your turn.
Right. I'm not as prepared as you were, so feel free to jump in.
I wasn't that prepared.
You
That
sounded
was
like
mostly
you
off
were.
the cuff.
You know, one of the headlines this week in the Gazette is called Locals Oppose Prayer Breakfast. Keynote speaker is called Anti-Islam. Joe Messina, who is on our Heart School Board, has been putting on the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast for several years now, and I've been to almost all of them. Now, it's not a possessive Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. It's hard to say in one sentence. It is mayors. Several mayors come.
It's plural.
Yeah, it's plural. It's not possessive. And we have a lot of folks. The Hyatt's always full to the brim with Christian businessmen. As Joe Messina said, it's a group of Christian business guys, right, that puts on the annual Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. But, of course, there are some pundits. They're claiming it's hate. It's not racist, but it's... Can't think of the word.
Discrimination?
Yeah, discrimination. One pundit said he called the guy who's speaking an Islamophobe. What is it?
Islamophobe.
Yeah, Islamophobe.
Islamophobe.
And he says he's taking tasks for inviting such people. I have been to every one of these, and this is nothing but positive stuff. There has never, ever been one mention of any kind of racist remark, controversial. It's Christian guys getting together, listening to a Christian speaker who talks about the value of having Christianity in your life, particularly in your business life, and living life right and treating people right. And that's basically what it is every year. And for these guys to come in and talk about how it's just skewed to the max, it makes no sense. It's really irritating. Somebody called for the mayor, the current mayor, and his friends to refuse to go this year. The lady wrote, "I've had many dealings with Joe Messina, and I can tell you, this man is not a Christian. He may claim to be, but he doesn't follow the teachings of Christ. He is a faux Christian who uses the label for political agenda. But he is as far from as Christ as you can get."
Now, Doug, doesn't it say in the Bible, judge not yet you be judged, or something
how
like
does
that?
this woman know what is in Joe Messina's heart? How do the other guys know that the guy who's speaking on for the prayer breakfast is prejudiced against Muslims? This gets back to the way our society is now, feelings and emotions and judging by words and not actual facts. And if it makes me uncomfortable, if it sounds wrong, I don't like it, and I'm going to criticize you for it. It's almost like those college students that freaked out when somebody had written in chalk on the steps of the campus something about Trump. And they had to go for some sort of counseling because they were freaked out about it.
We were talking about wimps before, wasn't that?
Leads me into my next topic, John.
Actually, can I interrupt? Because I had a question about that. You've been to those prayer breakfasts?
Yes, almost every one of them.
Is there a... how are they conducted? I mean, is there any way that somebody could go, well, geez, this religion wasn't allowed to speak, so therefore...
No. There's different denominations there. They'll usually have 6 or 7, 8 pastors are there who all contribute to a prayer or say a word,
Is it more than just
do a benediction?
Just Christian? Is there Catholic?
Yes, there's Catholic.
What about Muslim? Is there Muslims?
I don't believe so, because it's Christian, so it's people that believe in Christ as our Savior.
Okay, so there wouldn't be the...
Right.
How about changing it to the mayor's worship breakfast? And that way you can include a rabbi.
Yeah.
You can include a Muslim priest. I don't know. Would there be a Muslim priest? I guess I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming somebody who would speak to the wonderful thing that is the Quran. I guess I don't know.
For Joe Messina, but just the gist of the thing is nothing but positive and good. And I brought in friends to it who weren't even regular churchgoers, and they went and they were so impressed. They said, "This is something. This is great. I want to come back." And because we need positive stuff in our life, and all of us go through a lot of stuff on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And whether you're a believer in Christ or not, it's just an uplifting event. Nothing but positive stuff comes out of it. So this. The word I want to say that these people are bringing up is ridiculous.
I'm tempted to say this is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah. Now, in my rant this week, John, one of my sub-headlines was, use your own restroom.
Oh, the restrooms.
When you were, I don't know what you were doing last week, but you ditched me and you took the day off.
I was not having a fun time. But I do have a clean bill of health, and I have pictures if you'd like to see them.
No. Anyway, but I had Joe come in and just as a guest for a while on the show, and in passing we were joking around, and he said, it's kind of like the boys that want to use the girls' bathrooms, and now the law says it's okay. So we joked a little bit about it, and we let our feelings know, and then we moved on to other stuff. We talked a lot about Trump and the city council races and all kinds of stuff. Well, a young, I don't know how old she is, but she listened to the podcast of the radio show. And she said, what did she say? Oh, she said, she brought up the fact she listened to the podcast of the show, recording. She didn't like it. And she had words for Joe and me for making light of this subject, right? With giggles. I responded with, there is not a man or woman I know that would not be furious if someone with a penis was using the restroom with their daughter. Now, I say that not lightly. I have done informal polls of all kinds of dads and moms, and to a man and woman who I have spoken to, they've all been horrified at that prospect. And she replied, and this is fair, she said, you and I have never met, but if we do, you'll know at least one who wouldn't be. And I add angry. So, I can tell, I said, fair enough. But I can tell you, I just think this goes to, like you were saying in show prep, John, we started with a big push against slavery.
Yeah.
It went to horrible racism that occurred in the years after that, till we really started recognizing it, starting maybe with Jackie Robinson and on into the 60s. And that was meaningful, and that was the right thing to do, because that type of racism back then was absolutely abhorrent, But then we drifted into, it's racist if you don't want to serve pizza to somebody who has different, sex tastes. Or I don't want to provide a cake for your wedding if it's a gay wedding. So that was a big uproar. And what are we into now? LBGTs not being able to use the restaurant that they want, and if they can't, then it's discrimination. I am sorry, and you have every right in the world if you want to be a transgender, and I won't hold it against you, and if you want to do that, but you have no right to make parents and kids uncomfortable by going into their restroom just because you think you should, because you're feeling that day that you should be a member of the opposite sex. I know there's a lot that disagree with me, but that's my feelings. I have no problem with gender-neutral bathrooms. If the schools want to put those in, okay. And then you go into those knowing what you're facing.
It's kind of like what do you remember Star Trek?
I
wasn't a fan, but I remember watching one of the movies, and it was like there was some training exercise, and if somebody remembers what it is, somebody in the room remembers what it is, it was like the Kobayashi Maru or something. I don't remember, but it was something like the goods of the many outweigh the goods, or the needs of the many outweigh the goods of the few, or even the one. And it was like a predicament where you had to go rescue a whole bunch of people, but these people would die, or go rescue these people and the other people would die. Okay, and that's what we're missing here. We're asking the transgender community, well, how would you feel? We don't want you to feel bad. What about the little girls that have to go to the bathroom? Do they feel uncomfortable? If they feel uncomfortable, what about their rights? Don't you think they have rights too? Whose rights are better? And that's what nobody's talking about.
I know. And I don't want to get, how do I say this? I don't want to be full judgment on everybody, but some of these transgenders that you see in around town or around LA and Hollywood, I would fear for some of the girls' safety. I really would. That what concerns me. I think you're leaving too much room open for a possible assault. I just keep it the way God meant it. And if you got one part, you use this bathroom. If you got the other part, you use this bathroom. And if they happen to have a neutral bathroom, then whatever part you got, you can use that.
There you go.
Anyway, I want to change subject really quick before we get to sports. Donald Trump. Now, look, Donald Trump drives me crazy. Some of the things when he says Lion Ted, I hate it. When he used to say Little Marco, it bothered me.
He doesn't say it anymore. He says Senator Cruz.
Yeah. But what I don't want people, because I know some Republicans that are going to vote for Hillary because they can't stand Trump. And all I'm asking you is please don't judge on personality. Let your voting emotions sway you on his personality. And he's not conservative enough for me, I'll grant you that. But I do know this. We need to weed out all kinds of regulations that are strangling business. We need to have a reformed tax code for corporate and personal. And we need to change a lot of the stuff foreign-wise, like we were talking about. Our military needs to be strengthened, so we're not wimps like we were talking about in the first segment.
Yeah.
And no matter what you think of that guy, that's some of his platform that he stands on. And for that alone, don't you let because his personality drives me nuts, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But it's almost like the coach you used to have that drove you nuts. But when you look back, you go, you know what, he was a pretty good coach.
As long as he stays true to who he says he is.
That's true. No, you're right. If he turns on a dime once he gets elected, then
that's a problem. Speaking of drafts.
Yeah. Page 13 of the Gazette.
Yeah.
Big story. Draft day gamble. The LA Rams story.
That was a
written
horrible
by
transition.
Keir Chapman, Mr. Sports.
Hey,
Mr. Sports. All right. So, big gamble, I think, from not only the Rams but also the Eagles. Who do you think the Eagles really want, and who do you think the Rams really want? They're both of them
they're
traded
both going
up,
to take quarterbacks, but they're both stupid for doing so. You got Jared Goff and Wentz, and Carson Wentz.
And Carson Wentz.
These are both projects that you're going to take with the first two picks when there's better players that are more NFL ready right now. Like I said in the article, I think Jalen Ramsey should be the first choice overall because that's the Los Angeles Rams' weakest point, the cornerback. That's what they need to really fill the hole with, and Jalen Ramsey would do that. He's 6'1".
You can't take a cornerback first.
I know you could. They put themselves in a hole, but that's what they really need.
How much of this? Okay, no. Let's inform people what we're talking about. The Rams made a big trade to move up to the first number 1 pick in the draft. I call it an RG3 or reverse RG3.
Yeah.
They paid about the same.
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody, as a Redskins fan, everybody was just like laughing at us for overpaying for the first pick, and then the Rams going to do the exact same thing. But do you think they did that just because of the move to LA? Let's make a splash. Let's sell some tickets. Let's get people excited. Let's be on the front page of the newspaper.
Yep.
And that's going to come back and bite them because they're not going to be.
They've lost picks in this and next year, and I don't know about 2017, but I believe they've lost.
I think it was like a third or.
Yeah, they've
something.
lost picks for a couple. They have a couple of drafts.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this: how many stud quarterbacks over the last 10 years that have been top, not number 1 necessarily, but in the first round, have fizzled? A guy like Matt Leinart,
like RG3,
Johnny Manziel.
There's been a lot, and I think you go back to
Blaine Gabbert.
It was Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf.
Oh my goodness!
Remember those 1 and 2?
Oof.
Yeah, let's hope.
Ryan Leaf just got out of jail, didn't he?
Yeah.
He'll wind up back in there pretty soon.
Can you imagine if that's and who knows? You've got Carson Wentz, who from what is it? North Dakota State. North Dakota State.
Yeah.
It's a Division II school.
Yeah, see, that bothers me because the level of competition. It's one thing to be quarterback for Michigan, Ohio State, or Texas, or anybody, and go up a notch. Yeah. But to go from North Dakota State to the NFL,
they're basing it on pure potential. He's like 6'6" and like 200. He's a really big guy, and he has a lot of potential, really strong arm. But that's what they're basing everything off of is what he can do later, not how he can help the franchise this second.
And that's scary. And then you've got Jared Goff. Okay, he played for Cal. Beaten up. I mean, Cal had I watched a couple of their games, and it was like hike, throw, duck, and hope you don't get killed.
There's a lot. When his name came up as like one of the first 2 quarterbacks to be taken, I was very confused because I'm a UCLA fan, so I watched him when he played UCLA, and I was watching the game. Like, even without Miles Jack, Jared Goff is struggling here.
He was getting knocked on his rear end.
Yeah,
quite often.
And I don't know how he got so high. Maybe it's marketing. Maybe it's something along those lines. But I don't know how.
That stuff happens at the combine.
Yeah,
we don't get to see, and they have these measurables that we don't even know what they are. But,
I don't know.
All right, more importantly, hockey playoffs. No, we won't talk.
What?
You guys don't want to talk hockey
You know what
playoffs.
hockey is.
Capitals are basically over.
Real quick, I want to say something back to the NFL draft. Real quick.
Nice try, John.
I like a team that addresses their weaknesses and not try to make headlines. And for instance, my team, the Arizona Cardinals, had a weak pass rush this year. So, their draft is going to concentrate on defensive linemen to fix that need. And that's what all teams
And you got
should
Chandler
do.
Jones from my team, the Patriots.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, did you see who may be signing with the Redskins? Just
No.
throwing that out there?
No.
Certain all-pro defensive back that was released by the Carolina Panthers.
Ah.
Yeah, he's visiting today. Josh Norman. Josh Norman.
How old is he?
He's like 23.
Oh, okay.
He's young.
26, 27.
he's entering his prime. So
Yeah.
like
He's
mid.
All right,
prime.
next subject. When are the NBA playoffs going to get exciting?
I hope soon. That'd be nice.
Wait a minute. Didn't somebody just already lose?
No.
No,
The Warriors lost.
Oh, the Warriors lost, but I
Yeah.
mean, like the series is still going.
Yeah, well,
That was like one.
Curry
good game.
wasn't playing, though.
Yeah.
And it was in Houston.
How hurt is he? Dun, dun, dun. Or are they just resting him because, they don't really
They're
need him
getting
to
a
be.
little cocky. I
I
think.
mean, even if you watch the end of that game when I forgot who it was hit the winning shot.
Harden.
Yeah, Harden.
Yeah.
That's right. James Harden hit the winning shot for the Rockets. The bench just went, "Oh yay, crud! we have to
are you
keep
seriously
playing."
gonna be one of the guys that like talks about the bench reaction? The bench reaction was fine.
Oh, it was not
Monte
fine. It
Eunice
was
comes
not.
running onto the court. They start punching him in the chest.
It was great. Why did you hit that? Now we have to keep playing. It was almost over. I've got reservations. I got a tea time.
But don't you think we just want to get to San Antonio playing Golden State?
Yeah.
And then Cleveland playing.
Probably the Raptors if you're a fan
that
of,
sounds so exciting.
right?
Can you imagine if it was like Golden State and the Raptors? What do you think?
Can you
NBA
name
would
one
do?
player on the Raptors?
I could name a lot of players on the
Okay.
Raptors.
I
Yeah.
can't.
How about John,
Toronto.
though? I would want to see if John could.
No,
Okay, there you go.
NBA is. I haven't, and I will admit, you got to remember where I'm coming from. I used to work for the Washington Bullets,
Right.
way back when, and it was Nick Witherspoon. I remember him, and a couple guys named Johnson who were interchangeable,
Okay, that's
and it
too
was
easy.
clear out for one overpriced millionaire to play one-on-one, and we'd all stand around and watch.
I mean, that kind of sounds like how it is right now
It's
as well.
getting back to that.
Oh, I
It's
see.
getting back to
Oh,
that.
I see what you're saying.
John, I have a
It's-
question, though.
yeah.
Why did they change the name from the Bullets?
They wanted something less
Was it a-
violent,
was
so
it
they
a-
should have changed it to the Maryland Bullets.
Was
but
it
that
a
was-
politically a correct type thing?
No, it was. They were concerned that the Bullets portrayed a violent
Okay.
image of some kind.
So when are the Redskins going to have to change their name?
I go back and forth on that one because things like the Chiefs are still around.
Yeah.
Cleveland Indians are still around.
Yeah.
Okay, if we're going to go politically correct, we either go politically correct or we don't. And then once again, going back to your bathroom argument, who do we ask? Doug, if we call them the Washington Redskins and you're offended, are you even any percent affected by what they call Washington?
No.
Thank you. Ask the people who are affected if they're
I
offended.
think they're offended.
Not all of them.
Well, not all of them.
A lot of
It's-
it's a source of pride.
So it's really strange.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing, and I actually did some research on it. And I'm going, these people don't care. They're like the Who, first of all. And I was like, no, the Who's a music team. I mean,
music team.
music team, musical group. But no, it was like the Redskins, and they're like, oh, the Washington Redskins. Yeah, we like them. Huh. What about the name? What about the name? I mean, it's really almost a non-issue for an awful lot of them. Some of them are very offended. Some of them think it's a source of pride. Okay, so question becomes, where's that tipping point? When's we've offended too many people, we should change it? Or if it's gender neutral, do we just go, okay, we're fine with it? It's almost like get over it.
All right, guys, in 2.5 hours on this station is a Dodger game, so we got to touch on it. How are they doing so far, you think?
Not too bad. I mean, they just beat the Giants in that series, which
Yeah.
I was very surprised about because up until the season, we were talking about how bad their pitching was going to be, and their pitching has been.
And then they go to Atlanta, one of the worst teams in baseball, and they barely win two, and they couldn't hit their pitching, but they still won. So
Yeah, but weren't they the worst team? I mean, they got off to a bad start.
yeah,
I don't know whether I would call them the worst team. I mean, there are a lot worse teams.
Padres.
A lot
You
worse
can always
team,
throw out the Padres.
but
I mean,
for Dodger fans, I think our concern is their pitching. Their starting pitching is it's not consistent. Only one game out of the rotation, you have a consistent guy going.
So
And the
pitching is still
Yes.
the focal point.
You know
of
what we
the
haven't
stadium.
done? We should probably do this. We've got a couple minutes left. Are we going to make baseball predictions?
next week.
next week. Oh, Doug's got to do some research on
Predictions
it.
for how far into the season?
How far? Yeah.
How about an All-Star break?
Let's wait the All-Star break. We can make some predictions. We should make predictions now and revise them by the All-Star break, or just forget them until that point.
Well, what do you think? The Washington Nationals? They're not your
Nationals,
team?
you saw the Cubs last night.
They got a new manager, Dusty Baker.
The Cubs,
turned them around.
with Jake Arrieta, former Oriole Jake Arrieta.
That young man can pitch.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, and we traded him for Pedro Strop. Seriously, that's what the Orioles got for him. Yeah, it was a great.
Doesn't
trade.
that drive you nuts when your team trade and then they
Great
just
trade.
do great?
Hey, we had Kurt Schilling. We won't even get to him.
Let's talk about that.
He was an Oriole. Thank you.
No, let's talk about why he just
Traded
got
him for
fired
Sam
from
Davis.
ESPN.
Look,
That's ridiculous.
no, it's not.
Oh,
I want my sports guys to talk sports.
But it wasn't.
I want my
it
political
wasn't
guys to
anything
talk
in
politics.
It wasn't anything in the context of his job or sports. It was his personal Twitter, or Facebook, whatever he did.
Yeah, but
You got to realize when you're on that level, you're being watched.
Yeah.
thank you.
You have
But it did deserve him to get fired.
you have
though.
publicists, you have marketing teams, you have all these people saying, "Don't be an idiot for just 5 seconds,"
and
and then
don't push send.
right.
That should be it. It's
think
no longer
about
just
what
say
you-
no. It's now don't push send. Don't push send. But anyway, all right. So coming up, we've got hockey playoffs. I think the hockey playoffs are exciting, and there's nothing better than playoff hockey, and you guys should watch it.
The 7th game of the.
No, the game last night, the
Well-
Kings overtime game was great.
the Kings
are
have to
down
win
3-1.
again.
They got to win again.
They
They're-
have to win today. So
There's some serious trouble.
yeah,
All right. So next week, gentlemen.
What?
I don't know.
just
we'll
just
figure
next week.
something.
Next
Just
week.
next week.
Something.
We'll
Just
do
show
this
up.
again.
Next
Maybe
week.
next
We'll,
week.
we'll
Just
make
show
we'll
up.
wind up. We'll
All
wind up here.
Listen to the Gazette Radio with Doug and John on AM-1220 KHTS, Santa Cruz hometown station. Have a great week.